good friends. I am doing a Resident Evil tier list because I want to start slow, but also I have been playing. Why am I doing this voice still? Hello, welcome to Halloween. I wanted to do a slow start today, but I also have been playing a lot of Resident Evil. And as such, I have been thinking about the series. So today, for slow start, I'm doing Resident Evil tier list. I figured I'd be doing Resident Evil tier list just cause. I've slept real funny the past couple days, so I'm a little out of it. But I figured we'll undo some more of this stuff here. Drager was also recommending Bioshock. I tried that game once a while back, wasn't as into it, but hope my volume levels are good. I think they're good. Hold up. Are they good? Also, why can't I can't see the buttons for this? There we go. Maybe a little too much. A little less. A little less. It's probably fine. It's probably just the best. Bum, 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 bum. I think it broke itself. Pretty sure it broke itself. Let me reload that page. I was clicking a couple things on it, then it stopped making noise. Like, wait, what? I don't think that was me even entirely. That is pretty loud. We'll say it's fine. Alright, I'm gonna do this to it. Could be quieter. That was my fault that time. Alright, that's my fault that time. It's my fault that time. God dang it. Why you'll be breaking? Don't understand. Man. Why? Dang, this thing just is spicy stupid right now. Not even a word for it. It's so spicy over here with this thing. Alright, show on stream. Volume. We do want that just. That's probably fine. You know what? You guys will let me know, I'm sure. Anyways, I'm not that big a deal. Probably. Alright. So basically, I'm going to do it too. I'm going to start with the main one here. The main big boy. I could also turn off the starting shortly, even though this is technically my starting here. The main guy. Yeah, as far as remakes go, in general, most remakes are just remasters. Except with Resident Evil. This was actually a remake, and probably the best remake of any game ever. I didn't really subtract anything from the original game as far as I can recall. It's been a while since I played that one though, so yeah, it did a really good job. I think I do, when I get the chance, I do want to play through the first one again, the original again. But yeah, this is just really fun game. Tank controls aren't super terrible. They had some nice stuff. The controls in general, just pretty good. Let's do the next big one. Probably it's controversial. I'm also trying to rate this more. Yeah, this is I should be more upfront about and be more descriptive about. I'm gonna be rating this more on like kind of what I think they bring to the series, not necessarily as unequivocal most popular. Obviously, I would just look at Wikipedia and find sales at that point if that's the case. But then Resident Evil 6 is, yeah, there's no good straight out. But as far as what I appreciate about it from this in the series, like this one had a lot of different routing options, like resource management lends really well to a randomizer, which I like in games. It's not even necessarily if it has a randomizer, but if it lends well to a randomizer, just 9 times out of 10 I like the game more. Some nice Easter eggs you can get here and there. Like nothing super spectacular in that regard, but yeah, just gives you things to think about without being over the top on the puzzles too. I'm not a big puzzle guy, but just gives you something to a reason to backtrack more than I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I like it as a really like it as a remake. Did a really good job. Resident Evil 4. After beating it the first time, which took a lot, playing it again, it has some nice perks about it. The combat is interesting enough. It's enemy randomizer is silly. That's some pretty cool stuff. That being said, the controls are nearly intolerable unless you get a hack for the PC version, and I can't imagine what makes them tolerable in like the GameCube version or whatever. The funny banter is still good in this game. Enemies they get stale after a while. There's a lot of reskins. Some enemies are interesting, but even then they kind of get tedious. Some of the mechanics in general too, in regards to certain QTEs, are still clunky as all fluff. So yeah, it's good. It just, I know some people praise it as being the best Resident Evil ever, but like it's aged kind of weird. Like it feels like I need an actual hack just to tolerate the controls, and then it's okay. But even then, like tank controls work in this game. Tank controls in a combat-oriented game where things are coming at you all the time does not add anything. So yeah, there was choices there. It's still a very unique game, even in its own right. So I'm gonna give it props for that too. But I guess I'll give it an A. You know what? Yeah, it offers some unique stuff to it still that I haven't really seen in a lot of other games, at least done well, I guess. And then the other big one, let's just get this out of the way. The whole like first hour and a half isn't even really routing, resource management, or surviving. It feels like it's the game leans heavily on a VR aspect, which is fine, but if you don't have VR, if you're not worried about VR, it's just abrasive. The first person aspect is more disorienting than anything else. Things are just oftentimes put directly in your face in order to make use of VR. I don't know. It's just like nothing I could really expect from the game. It's gonna put something really close to my face before I'm actually gonna fight any monsters. It did that over and over and over. Yeah, it just there's probably stuff there if you're a horror fan in general, but if you were like into resource management routing, if you're into combat at all, it's not it's a horror game and it misses out on anything else I've played the titles for before. So yeah, I'm not a fan of first person games. I'm not a fan of poop. Yeah, it's just a little different though. It's still like that's what a lot of the Resident Evil games. It's still pretty unique, at least as far as I could tell. I haven't played Outlast or anything like that, so I can only presume. Still seems like it offers some unique stuff, but that's me stretching. All right, let's do something a little more. Let's do Resident Evil 2. Yeah, I played through it again recently. I really enjoyed it. Still easier than I remember, but I kind of figured that was the case. Because I even remember getting to the end of some of the games and having just so many bullets. Hard mode is different. Some zombies will just take so many bullets to drop. It's insane. Like you can go through like well over 20 bullets in one zombie and they just don't drop. Other times you shoot them a few times, their head explodes. So hard mode is like a mixed bag, but overall it's not not super hard unless you're playing. It's very easy unless you're playing hard. Like if you're playing normal, it's pretty. It's very forgiving in a lot of ways. That being said, it's still fun with the routing and stuff you do. Remember the locations you've been to before. Was really fun as a kid. Still fun now. Puzzles are still Resident Evil. Puzzles in Resident Evil have never really been. Yeah. Which actually, while we're at it, let's So I'll put Resident Evil here too. Yeah. So this game is definitely the one of the best games I've played in like the past decade. AAA games, I should say. I have not had a lot of faith in AAA titles. Like honestly, I think one of the last ones was Resident Evil 6. That was like really was interesting to me. This is like the best AAA title I've played in a very long time. The dynamic between this and like Claire and Leon, A and B, isn't nearly as good as in this one. Like you actually fight different bosses. This one is the bosses are repeats, and especially because like I wasn't a big fan of the Birkin boss with the whole crane system. It felt very gimmicky. It's not terrible. It just wasn't like my favorite boss. In general too, I think I didn't give some of the bosses enough credit in that game because I was trying to play speedrunner strats at times. I was learning different stuff. So that being said, though, yeah, no, it's the combat's good. It's kept me. I played the first time on hardcore because I really want to be kept on my toes. That game is actually you can like kill most things before you run out of ammo, but then you put yourself in a tight spot for the future bosses. So that's a thing to keep in mind. But you are still pretty well limited on ammunition in this game. It's definitely a lot harder on hardcore than this one is. Probably on hard, yeah. Like this game on hard is tough, but like there's ways to work around it. You have some pretty powerful weapons too. Like the powerful weapons in this game tend to come later, and they're not as abrasively powerful. Plus, you have Mr. X, who is a far. The problem with Jack in Resident Evil 7, it's just Jack that's chasing you for the first hour of the game. It's and he's just talking to you the whole time. It's not like you're being chased by a monster. It's just crazy guy with a shovel. Not the same vibes. He's not chasing you into danger, really. He's never really chasing me into a zombie. Unlike Mr. X, who's like, I'm like trying to work around zombies. Mr. X chasing me. Like, that's a far better dynamic than whatever Jack's doing. As a character, Jack's probably fine. But as a whole vibe, this game is just weird. Whereas this, like, Mr. X is pushing you into danger or chasing you after danger, something like that. Like, it really adds a whole better dynamic, too. There's a reason I do a lot of Mr. X added into the fray when I do my randomizers. Like, it's just a very fun experience to have to really evaluate your situation and figure out what you're doing. Whereas this is just chasing from Jack, and you punch hole in wall, and you super glue arms back on a whim. So yeah, that's the original Resident Evil. I want to play this one. I haven't been able to. I feel like Resident Evil 2 fixed a lot of stuff. I don't want to rate this. I definitely don't. It's definitely, it's gotta at least be here. It's at least top of A. Probably bottom of S is a better place to put it. Yeah, I'll put bottom of S. It's been a long time since I played it. Obviously, Resident Evil 2 improved on it, but it brought a lot of really good stuff to gaming. Period. The dialogue sucks, but what you gonna do? Oh, that's something I want to say too. Resident Evil 2, as much as I like the game, I feel like the dynamic with Claire and Leon as protagonists, and personality wise, I don't like them that much. They feel too like high school romance. Whereas games like Resident Evil 4, it's super over the top, which I can appreciate more. All these games are super over the top. Like, these games are all ridiculous. Like, just every single one of them. So, like, having an over top 80s, 90s action hero character, that just makes sense. Like, Resident Evil 2, I feel like they're too flat. They're too high school drama. Like, I think I mentioned this before. Like, Leon and Claire are meeting at the fence after the helicopter crash or something. It just feels like they're just like two kids who like saw each other last week. It's like, hey, how's it going? Hey, what you been up to? It doesn't stress the seriousness of the situation. So, but other than that, I do like a lot of the emphasis they do on certain things, like when you're getting attacked and the injury your characters have. It has a really good weight to the game still. Whereas this too, it's hard to really tell how I feel about the dynamic because the entire situation is very GoPro. It's, a, it's actually just hard to see what I'm supposed to be looking at from that GoPro. That's all I can really say. I don't even know how to view it as a cinematic with that perspective. It's just in your face. And I mean, if you guys like Blair Witch, maybe you'll like this, I guess is what I'll say. Resident Evil 3. Uh it's it's really good. I still like it. Play through it again. It lacks a it lacks a bit of the replay value of Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 2. I maybe better replay value than Resident Evil 4. It adds some the dodging mechanics are kind of meh. Oh wait, I don't think my chat's working. Okay, there it goes. I don't know why Twitch is so slow on this sometimes. I had to fix how's it going? I don't know why Twitch chat is so slow about this sometimes, man. Is in Brawlhalla? Alright, I might have to give that a go at some point here. Sounds pretty good. I gotta give it a shot, man. I do like Castlevania, not as much as Resident Evil. I do like some of the games though. But yeah, Resident Evil 3, Nemesis version, the original, pretty good. Had some replay value, mostly in the randomizer of it, which I will probably try soonish. Good routing. Just in general, a decent sequel to Resident Evil 2. It lacks the replay value, like I said. Not as much whole world exploration, so misses all up on that. The dodge mechanics are just weird to the point it feels like I'm just best off standing in front of some enemies and mashing it so I dodge. But then you get stuck in moments where if you're getting attacked by multiple dogs and you try to aim it all, you're constantly just rolling into attacks. It's very clunky. Not really my favorite. It seems like they lean into that a little bit. Nemesis music hits. It's like and hits real good. So I do like Nemesis on this game to an extent. I didn't like some of the boss fights, but then once I realized stand with big gun and shoot, it's like okay, just use a really big gun when you need to. You're not trying to dodge at all as much as you can avoid it. I still don't understand the sewage part with the acid pouring out. I still have no idea how to do that proper because you're supposed to be able to aim at like environmental things with a different aim button. It never works, so it's less than ideal with some of that stuff. It's still pretty good though. I'll still put it, I think, yeah, A tier. Just the fact that it didn't really improve much as Resident Evil 2, plus you'll lose out on other things, so. Code Veronica X. I haven't finished this one yet, but I have enjoyed it. I do want to get back to it soon. Puzzles got to me too much because when I'm tired, puzzles hurt my head. And I was very tired and burnt out in general in that time, so, but pretty enjoyable experience so far. The routing, exploration, and yeah, it improved the graphics a bit. I think some parts that I might have issue with feels very harder to find your way around and navigate, and sometimes you can just miss certain checks by not being close enough to them, and I've done that on a couple occasions, which did not help my exploration in general. Some things feel a little more obtuse as compared to other games, but that could also, again, be me. I'm not exactly fully with it every time I'm playing these games, so. Let's switch it up. Reverse. I haven't played it. Probably never will. That's why I made this. I don't. Maybe I'll try. It's PvP though. I'm not big on PvP. I want co-op games back, man. Resistance. I don't even know if that still works. There's hackers. It's PvP acing. Umbrella Corps. I've seen some stuff about it. I don't understand it at all. This is even as me as somebody who liked Operation Raccoon City. I don't understand Umbrella Corps. So, okay. So, this game doesn't work right now. Yeah. The problem I have here is I don't want to put it underneath Resident Evil 4 because there's some really cool stuff in here I want to see more of. Plus, there's 4 different types of, or is it 5 different? There's like basically 5 different classes, 2 different campaign options, effectively different guns, perks, cooperative combat. It's silly, it's stupid, it makes no sense, it's janky, it's clunky. PvP is not necessarily fair, but if you want a good cooperative experience to play with your friends and just scream at the ridiculousness, this brings a lot of stuff I kind of want to see in games in general. So I'm putting it up here. Let alone Resident Evil, like yeah, bring back some of that. Um, yeah, Resident Evil is the only one who leans super heavy into that cooperative gameplay that I really got into. So, which speaking of which, this is more based on initial impressions and I guess what's the word? Potential. Putting this. We'll put it here. I played through 1 chapter of it. It's a very like this was low budget cinematics. Not exactly the best focus on aesthetic. This is in a similar boat. It has voice acting, different characters you can play. Similarly to this, centered more on the survival horror. The main reason why this game probably suffered when it first came out is it was on the PlayStation 2, and I have no idea if there's any games that survived online on the PlayStation 2. I would guess not. I definitely only had dial-up when PlayStation. I only had dial-up by the time the Wii came out. So like halfway through the Wii's life cycle. So, yeah. So I have no idea if the PlayStation 2 ever had a proper system for online. Maybe it would have been cool someday. But yeah, it has some cool survival horror stuff. Cooperative. You can explore, split up stuff. They need to bring like this back, man. They need to really do it. I'm also gonna put Outbreak here too. The File 2 or whatever. These are both games I would like to try to play more. It's just a very clunky setup, but at least they brought it back, which hopefully I don't know if anybody wants to bring this back, but man, I am hoping, fingers crossed, that they get this fixed. Please, Capcom, cater to me. I should. That's fine right there. What else we got? Resident Evil 0. I haven't finished this game mostly because I soft locked myself on a boss fight with a knife and just a handful of bullets. I was playing on hard because I normally play these games. Still pretty good. It would have. I feel like it would have been better as a cooperative game. I think I already hold up. But that's also just me reminiscing about Resident Evil 6 and 5 a little bit. Kind of offers a unique thing to it. It's a lot of this Resident Evil remake with a different spin. Doesn't. I don't know. I do have to play it again sometime. I can't really give it a full thing. I spent a lot of time on this game actually without ever actually beating it. So there's that. Yeah. Mercenaries 3D. Haven't played it. It's basically Mercenaries, but on the 3DS. Like Resident Evil 5 Mercenaries 2, as far as I can tell. This is an on-rail shooter, I'm pretty sure. This is an on-rail shooter. This is probably another on-rail shooter. Maybe a little bit different. This one might be worth playing. I'll put those there for now. I don't have any intent of playing the on-rail shooters as much. Maybe someday. I'm not a big fan of first-person shooters as it is. So like the idea of this, just a game where you're only just shooting, it's like, it's a pretty meh. So yeah, I'm not saying like I would be super opposed to ever trying it, but it'd probably be not something I want to invest a lot of time into doing. Maybe someday. Which speaking of on-rail shooter, Resident Evil 6. really cool mechanics that are still admittedly very clunky. Uh, Cooperative play. Um, some just it's mainly the mechanics in this game. Like the camera work sometimes is clunky. But it improved a lot on Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5 as far as mechanics go. It has cooperative play, which is still interesting. QTEs are a bit iffy at times. It kind of yanks you around at a weird pace at times. Like I feel like a lot of the problems that I would have with Village would be similar to this game, and just how it paces itself, how it kind of forces you to different styles that don't really blend well together. That being said, it just there are so many memorable like gameplay standpoint. If I'm basing this like which game gave me the most memorable moments from a gameplay standpoint, oh, this is if we're rating this on a game that yep, has the best moments made by gameplay, and we'll make it pink. Yep, it goes there. Um, this one, this one has some pretty good gameplay. Half of it's so half of my most memorable moments are done through modding, but yeah, it has some really cool stuff. This has like the most polished, just general survival horror stuff. This is like action based. There's just so much dumb stuff that happens. There's so many moments I could like recite back to you, like, oh yeah, we're facing that one chainsaw guy. We're on the boat. He jumps up, downs my brother right next to me, swings and catches me. I'm like dying. As he's down, he pulls out his gun, shoots that guy off of me. I get him up. We're both like half dead. He gets on my brother. I like whack him off. It's like, holy crap, I can't believe we survived that. Like that's the kind of stuff Resident Evil 6 did, whereas Resident Evil 4 is Resident Evil 4 is me trying to turn and I can't see anything to the sides of me. I'm just getting hit. Anytime there's enemies near me, I'm just like, I really hope I could just run forward and not get hit. I really hope so. That was like the only thing I could do in Resident Evil 4. Just run forward and hope not, just straight forward the whole time. So yeah. But realistically speaking, it'd be probably more like right here. Has a lot of polish it needed. But like I'll put it there for now. We'll move it back when it's more appropriate. Resident Evil 5. Would probably put it over Resident Evil 6 as a whole. The graphics in general in Resident Evil 5 seem better than Resident Evil 6 because Resident Evil 6 was trying to do too much. Pacing is a bit better as a whole. Lacks a lot of survival horror aspect, but has a lot of stuff from Resident Evil 4, like gun upgrades and that I like. Inventory management is a little back and forth. Could be better. Resident Evil 6 inventory management weapon system is pretty. They removed too much of that from this game. I would have liked to have seen more of that from here. Kind of like with this. As far as survival horror goes, too, it's not. Yeah. Yeah. Still does. I still say it does a better job than Resident Evil 4. I think the main reason you have to be worried about games like this Resident Evil 6, and that, the main reason to be worried about that is if you don't have any friends, and that you might be in for a bad time. Yeah, because this is like one of the best parts of Resident Evil 6 is co-op, no hope, and just trying so hard to get by each level. Like it's pretty crazy. Okay, let's do this. Gaiden. I played a little bit. It's a Game Boy game. It wasn't terrible. It actually was better than I was expecting. But it's Game Boy game with some interesting mechanics that I cannot recommend very well. But it could be worse, actually. I also hear it just gets harder. It's not exactly well balanced, so. And on a Game Boy game, there's probably even harder to play than on emulator. Survivor. I did play this game once when I was younger. And even as me, as somebody who played like this, like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. Played Resident Evil, oh yeah, it's pretty good. Resident Evil Survivor is a first-person shooter on the PlayStation, and yeah, that was a big note for me. Like, I don't even like the first-person aspect of a Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil Village. playing Resident Evil 4 for the first time forever, being enamored with actually good controls, this game was like, yeah, I need a mod for that. I think the only thing that would make me really want to play this again is a third-person mod, which there has been work on that. So, um, but yeah, this game it's not terrible. If you can get into the controls enough, I feel like it would be fine. We have some interesting dynamics a little bit. It has a similar quality of like an Outbreak. Yeah, but I put that there. It was the start of on-rail shooters to an extent, if I were to equate it to anything like a style of this. Revelations. Also making sure I'm not dropping frames. I'm good. It was pretty good. I didn't like the dodge mechanics. I hated Parker constantly backseating me when I was trying to explore it all. Even when I was trying to go in the right direction, he didn't shoot any enemies. I was so happy when I thought he died. Spoilers. I played Can You Feel the Sunshine? Yeah. Other than that, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't super great either. Final boss, I didn't like that much. Bosses in general were they're alright. Yeah. I don't know, I don't have a whole lot spectacular to say about it. I don't have much to trash on. It was alright. It felt like, as far as it was advertised, as like, hey, we get to figure out what happened to Jill, what happened to Chris. And I'm like, is this in regards to Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil 5? Like, that's what I'm wondering. But no, it just adds more questions than answers. It's like, who's Parker? Who are these people? This didn't tell me what happened to any of these people. I don't understand. I guess it was just supposed to be what happened to Chris was just the general gameplay. Like, as a lore wise, I feel like this game just didn't need to exist. It just was confusing. It's like out of order, and even if you put it in order, I don't think it would answer anything. It would just answer its own questions. So, Revelations 2, on the other hand, I started this a little bit. It has co-op, but unfortunately, it's only for local. That being said, there's some cool stuff here when I started. It's more The Hills Have Eyes, like kind of horror. But it has some really cool stuff, and you only play one chapter with the potential of that. Like, would like to see more of that. I really wish the co-op was online, because playing a single player was a bit tedious. Like, this kind of level of tedious. So, like, I might even put over Code Veronica X. If it had online co-op, it would probably be up here. But for now, it's gonna stay there. 3 remake. So, it's not bad, but it's decent routing. Nemesis is kind of interesting, but also he just feels just volatile. He's just rubber banding across the entire map at times. It's a little hard to even tell if I how afraid I should be. It adds dodging on top of what this game did, and punching with the guy in the background. The characters are more interesting to me than in Resident Evil 2. They don't feel quite as high school drama. Doesn't really lend itself well to a rando because the areas are segmented. Feels like it added more to the hospital section than this game. Like, the hospital section in this game feels like basically 3 rooms. But there's no park or clock tower in here. I've heard people say that they removed a lot from this game. It's a lot shorter, but like, this game is a lot shorter than this game, that's for sure. This game feels kind of tiny in comparison. Like, I found myself being I'd also played it before, but I also knew what to expect. But I don't know why. Yeah, it doesn't really feel that much shorter or longer either way. I wasn't a big fan of the final boss fight. Final boss fight feels too gimmicky. as a whole, it's solid. It's not really doesn't have the same vibes as this, which in some ways I think is okay. But there, it's solid. I almost want to put it above Resident Evil 3, but I don't think it really brings enough to the table. I just don't think it's that terrible. Just yeah, it's kind of like Revelations. There's nothing super spectacular. It has a bit better controls as a whole. Yeah, Revelations kind of doesn't add a lot of replay value for me either, and that's a thing that I kind of wanted more of. Whereas this one kind of has a little more there. There was some other stuff I found, you know. Yeah. And Village, the last one that came out. I'm excited for the third person mod. Mostly because okay, so Village, first person, FOV of awful, disorienting. Every time I get hit, I can't tell what's happening. So the combat's just iffy. If the game was just the castle and just the factory, I would probably put it up higher. Final boss is pretty good. Moreau is a bullet sponge. Lady D is alright. Creepy Baby is just a section that doesn't really add any replay value. I'd actually mod the baby out if I really had a choice, which I will, probably. Because the baby's maybe good for a one-off. I didn't even really enjoy it that much myself, but the baby section is... There's like 2 items there, and it's like, it just feels like a sidetrack. Much like Resident Evil 6, it has sections that just have weird pacing. You don't even have bullets in that section. Like, felt like after I beat the baby and I beat the house, whatever that was, I was like, oh yeah, I get to play the game again and then fight some baddies again. Look for items, actually. Moreau's section just feels like another sidetrack to a boss fight. Not a whole lot going there. There's a little bit, but not much at all. Factory's okay. Exploration, routing, different enemies to fight. It did have decent enemy variation. Like, this apparently just has poop babies everywhere. That's literally the enemy you fight. Just some weird swamp things the entire game, along with Jack and other characters who are turned into big swamp monsters. It's just a lot of sewage and septic stuff going on in this game. This has some good enemy variation. The werewolf lichens are fast and they'll shoot stuff at you. The little vampire ghoul things, basically like zombies. You got the flying things. You got the motor boys inside the factory. There's some decent enemy variation in this game. And there's a lot of stuff that makes you want to replay it again. It just has such it just has the entire first fight section is just weird. And it feels like you kind of have to headbutt your way through it if you just want to play the parts you like of the game again. Yeah, it's not. There's like so much about it that makes me want to play it again, but then I play the stuff before that, and I'm just like, I hate this so much. It's just, it has such a weird dynamic. So I'll put it right there. Yeah, top of B. There we go. Anyways, now I gotta put 6 where I think it should actually be. Put it right there. And yeah, I'll delete this for now. Actually, wait. First, we put this like, we'll put it right there. No, wrong one. Yeah, I'll put it right there. We'll save this. Hold on. Do I need to censor this? Not necessarily. Okay. I just realized I was doing something else. Actually, maybe I should, just in case. I don't want you guys to see my naughty collections or something. I hit the wrong button for that though. I just hit 9. There we go. Fixed it. Just in case. And put this. How do I do this? Anyways, I'm gonna do some Resident Evil 4 rando after this now. So you're gonna want just a nice little workup. Get myself juicing. Okay, download that image. And then we're gonna put this guy right there. And save and download. All right. And this would be where I put the entire tier list for etceteras. Yeah, I think that makes a lot. Yeah, I think it's perfect. I think that's what everyone can agree. I think everyone on the internet can agree with that too. You know, so I should put that on Twitter quick. Maybe later. Let me just close out of this. Let's get Resident Evil 4 going.